Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
Slow down.
Show advanced technology. In Utah's Sago Canyon, there's a mysterious stretch of
rising toward them.
Satellite imaging detected something impossible last month. The Euphrates River isn't just drying. Entire sections are collapsing overnight in patterns that violate every geological model. NASA data shows the ground splitting along precise coordinates mentioned in ancient texts. 4 specific locations, 4 sealed chambers now exposed, and, according to Revelation, 4 angels bound beneath this exact river. The timing isn't coincidence. Before we continue, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more biblical prophecies from the Holy Land. Between 2020 and 2023, the Euphrates lost 60% of its flow. Dams and drought provided easy explanations, but in January 2024, something changed. The river didn't recede gradually, it fractured. Satellite imagery captured the failure in real time. A 30-mile stretch dropped 8 feet in 72 hours. No storm preceded it, no dam release explained it. The water simply vanished, leaving behind cracked earth arranged in geometric patterns. Geologists examining the formations found parallel fissures running perpendicular to the natural flow, each spaced exactly 1.2 kilometers apart. Rivers don't create symmetry. Erosion doesn't measure distance, yet the evidence was undeniable. Ground-penetrating radar revealed the cracks extended deep, far below the riverbed, into bedrock that hasn't shifted in millennia. Something beneath the Euphrates wasn't eroding, it was emerging, and the river couldn't hold it down anymore. The fissures didn't stop at the surface. In March 2024, villagers near Deir ez-Zor reported hearing deep groaning sounds coming from the exposed riverbed. Days later, the ground split vertically. Not a gradual crack widening over time, a sudden separation, like something pulling the earth apart from below. Turkish seismologists recorded unusual activity, but the readings confused them. The tremors originated at shallow depths, 15 to 30 meters down, precisely where the river once pressed heaviest. Normal earthquakes start deep and radiate upward. These worked backward. Pressure sensors showed force moving up, not settling down. Soil samples revealed something else disturbing. The fractured ground contained air pockets that formed recently, within weeks, not centuries. The earth was breathing, and in 4 locations along the dried river, identical openings appeared simultaneously, each revealing stone that didn't belong there. April brought phenomena no geological textbook addresses. Witnesses across 3 villages described the same sequence, a low hissing sound, continuous for minutes, followed by ground vibrations strong enough to rattle tools. Then the mud moved, not flowing or sliding, rising. Mounds formed overnight, pushing upward in controlled bursts 6 to 8 feet high before collapsing back. Video footage captured the events. The mud didn't spread outward like normal pressure release. It pulsed vertically, rhythmic, almost mechanical. Temperature readings added another layer of impossibility. The expelled mud measured 14 degrees colder than surrounding soil. No geothermal vent exists in this region. No underground water source could generate that temperature difference. Scientists suggested methane pockets, but drilling found no gas concentrations sufficient to cause the displacement. The mud kept rising in the same spots, directly above where the fissures ran deepest. Something below was pushing, hard. When the mud finally settled in early May, it exposed what the river had concealed for thousands of years. 4 openings, each located at the exact coordinates where the fissures originated. These weren't natural cave formations. The entrances displayed perfect circular geometry, carved into limestone with precision that predated modern tools. Each measured 2.4 meters in diameter, identical down to the centimeter. Archaeological teams arrived within days. What they found inside defied chronology. The walls bore tool marks consistent with Bronze Age techniques, yet the structural engineering resembled nothing from that period. Corridors descended at precise 15-degree angles, reinforced with interlocking stones that required no mortar. Mineral deposits coating the surfaces confirmed complete isolation. No air exchange, no water intrusion. These chambers had been sealed deliberately, designed to remain hidden. Temperature sensors recorded the same anomaly from the mud events, cold air flowing upward from depths the initial surveys couldn't measure. The passageways continued down, deeper than any team was willing to follow. Not yet. The upper chambers contained messages. Akkadian script, among the oldest known written languages, covered sections of wall near each entrance. Linguists translated the phrases quickly. The words were simple, repeated, urgent. Do not open, do not release, bound by command. But the Akkadian wasn't alone. Layered over it, carved centuries later, Ugaritic characters repeated the same warning. Above that, Proto-Hebrew etchings, cruder but deliberate. 3 distinct civilizations, separated by hundreds of years, all felt compelled to warn the same thing. Between the text, images appeared. 4 towering figures, rendered with elongated proportions that violated human anatomy. Their faces were obscured, deliberately defaced or never detailed. But the chains were clear. Flowing lines wrapped each figure, anchoring them to the stone itself. The carvings matched descriptions from the Book of Enoch, ancient texts describing watchers, fallen angels bound for transgression. 4 angels, 4 chambers, 4 warnings spanning millennia. Revelation 9:14 through 15 describes 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates, prepared for the exact hour, day, month, and year they would be released to bring judgment. For centuries, theologians treated this as symbolic language. The physical evidence forced reconsideration. The geographic specificity was undeniable. Not just any river, the Euphrates. Not a general region. Precise locations now marked by exposed chambers. Revelation 16:12 adds another detail. The river would be dried up to prepare the way. Biblical scholars noted the verb tense, not gradually lowering, dried up, an active removal of what restrained. The timeline alignment disturbed researchers. Prophecy described beings held until an appointed time, not destroyed, merely bound. The chambers weren't tombs, they were prisons, and every structural detail suggested they were designed to hold something powerful, something that required layer after layer of stone, sealed by water, warned against by generation after generation. The river was the final lock, and it was failing. Residents living near the exposed sites report experiences that don't appear in official surveys. A shepherd from Al Busaida described pressure changes before each collapse, a heaviness in the air that made breathing difficult. Others mention dreams, vivid and recurring, of figures watching from beneath the ground. Dismissed as stress or folklore, the accounts shared disturbing consistency. Multiple witnesses, separated by miles, described the same sensation when approaching the chambers, a resistance, not physical, but palpable, like walking against invisible current. Some refused to go near the sites entirely. Local religious leaders cite the prophecies their communities have preserved for generations, stories of beings imprisoned beneath the river, waiting for the water to fail. What Western researchers discovered in May, these villages have anticipated for centuries. They're not surprised by the chambers. They're terrified the seals are breaking, and they're preparing for what comes next. Off the record, researchers admit the data creates problems their models can't solve. A hydrologist working with the UN team acknowledged that water loss rates don't match precipitation deficits or dam outputs. Something else is removing mass from the system. A geophysicist analyzing seismic data noted the tremor patterns resemble controlled detonation sequences, not natural tectonic movement. Precision where chaos should exist. When asked to explain the temperature inversions, the cold air rising from sealed chambers, one scientist simply stated the readings were accurate but inexplicable. Career considerations prevent public speculation about non-natural causes. Academic journals won't publish findings that suggest intentional design in structures predating known civilizations. Yet privately, some acknowledge what the evidence implies. The chambers were engineered beyond Bronze Age capability. The warnings span too many cultures to dismiss as coincidence, and the timing, the river failing now after 4,000 years of flow, statistically approaches impossibility, unless it was always meant to happen, now. June 2024 marked acceleration. The mud eruptions increased in frequency, now occurring daily instead of weekly. Ground vibrations intensified, registering on seismographs as far as Baghdad. Then, on June 18th, exploration teams reported structural changes inside the chambers. Stone barriers deeper in the passages showed fresh fractures, cracks that weren't present during initial surveys 2 weeks prior. The cold air currents grew stronger, now carrying sound, low-frequency vibrations, rhythmic, almost like breathing. Local monitoring stations recorded electromagnetic anomalies at all 4 sites simultaneously, pulses that lasted exactly 4 seconds before stopping. Pattern recognition software found no natural equivalent. The passageways continue deeper than any team has fully explored, descending into darkness where equipment begins to malfunction. Compass needles spin, radio communication cuts out, and at the deepest accessible point in Chamber 4, recent imaging detected movement, something shifting behind the final barrier. The stone is 3 feet thick. Last week, the first crack appeared.